I believe that anyone can be a successful entrepreneur when you change the way we think about entrepreneurship. I'm not a fan of creativity, risk, or passion. And the generic definition of entrepreneurship is that entrepreneurs are creative people taking risks, starting businesses that they're passionate about. And I dislike all three of those parts of entrepreneurship, the definition. I don't really care about creativity. 86% of businesses, I'm sorry, 93, it's higher. 93% of businesses around the world are copies of existing businesses. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, there's no reason to go and try to find a new idea. Just find an idea and copy it. Risk is bad. Entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, the people who do it again and again and again, they don't take risk. They do everything they can to reduce the risk to the point where it's almost risk-free. And I can give lots of examples of that, and it's very prevalent. It's a lot more prevalent than people think. And finally, passion. I'm very passionate about my family and going to Disney and stuff like that, but my business is not on a level anywhere close to that. And I think that people who talk about loving their business, they need to go to a psychiatrist or something. You're supposed to love your family and your God, not your business. And so the School for Startups is designed to look at entrepreneurship through that lens. When we copy, when we don't care about, if we love the business, we just want to like it. My business I like. That's a lot better than working for you. And finally, we're going to do it for as little money as possible, take as little risk as possible. Start a business for under $5,000, which is a lot easier to do than people think. I believe in going into the red area and trying to make your little circle blue, and trying to say, but I'm different. I'm a hotel, but I'm different because of this. I also I don't know that I like going into the blue area because I've done that before. And not only do you have to teach your customers that you are good at stuff, you have to teach them what the stuff is. So when I moved to London and started doing summer camps in London in the UK, not only did I have to show that we were good, but I then had to explain to parents what the hell summer camp was. They didn't do that in London, in the UK. That wasn't a cultural experience that people expected and were experienced with. They didn't understand what it was. So I had a lot of explaining to do. So when you get too blue, sometimes there's too much work to do. I don't know that I like that part. I have no problem being in the middle of the red and trying to figure out why I'm actually very blue, and make myself unique and interesting and sexy and compelling. So my whole thesis, I think, is a good example of that entrepreneurship, that anyone can be an entrepreneur when you forget about creativity, risk, and passion. So I'm trying to be, a very red entrepreneurial educator. There's a lot of people trying to teach people to start businesses, but I'm trying to be as unique as possible by coming up with a unique belief system, then defending it and saying, I'm the only one doing this. I don't care about all the other people because they're doing it wrong, but my little method right here is the good way to do it.
So this is the belief system that you just mentioned, right?
Right. The entrepreneurship is not about creativity, risk, or passion.
Okay. So you think anyone could be an entrepreneur? So nevertheless, most people decide not to. Do you think entrepreneurs are born like with this, let's say, desire or passion? Or do you think it's somehow shaped by the environment? How does that come together, in your opinion?
It's 100% both. 70% of Americans claim they want to be an entrepreneur. About 8 or 9% are. And I think it's because they are educated that you're not special enough to do it. What's so special about you? What's creative about your idea? Are you a big risk taker? Are you willing to take the super risk? Are you willing to triple mortgage your house and go to your kid and say you can't go to college because I'm starting a business and it needs marketing this weekend? Are you that brave? You're not that brave. You're not willing to do it. You don't care enough. You're not passionate enough. And so the media talks us out of it. And so I'm trying to argue on the other side and say, it's actually pretty easy if you do certain rules. It's not that risky if you don't want it to be. It's not that cool to be creative. Creative people are called artists. Entrepreneurs are called people who go copy stuff and do it better than the other guy. It's not that special. Now, I want to make this very clear. I'm not claiming everyone can become a billionaire or worth $100 million. But I think that just about anybody can start a business that makes $100,000 and $150,000 a year. I've just seen too many normal people do it. And too many of the systems work, Sven. So this is very important. There are all these get-rich systems, or learn how to do this system, or get rich on Amazon system, or all of these things, these methods. And you see these guys teaching them, these women teaching them, and some of them are BS and scams. Well, actually, some of them are great ideas and work really well. So there's thousands of people making $1 million a year. There's millions of people making thousands of dollars a year on Amazon. So I wanted to test it. So I bought one of the books and gave the book to my wife. She got the Skip McGrath, McGrath, Skip McGrath Amazon book. Well, she made, I think, $56,000 in the first year while working a full-time job. We have 4 kids. We have dogs and pets and cats and fish and stuff. We have a very active house. And she still made $50,000 her first year using the system. The systems work. Now, some of them are scams and complete BS, but a lot of them are brilliant. I've seen some brilliant Airbnb systems that require, you don't even need to own a house. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. You don't have any risk. I've seen some brilliant pallet trading businesses. The pallets that the big shipments come on and they lift them up with the forklifts and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a guy in Alabama making $1 million a year in pallets, and he teaches how to do it. His system works. It's not BS. I've seen it. Anyone can buy that book and learn how to do that and make $200,000 a year. Yes, anyone. I want you to pick whatever system is right for you. It may not be a system. So I start off with making a list. I want you to sit down and for the next week or a month, make a list of problems that you see. So anything that's a problem, something that someone complains about, whatever your kids complain about, whatever is difficult, you were in the kitchen, cutting tomatoes and you cut your knuckle. That's a problem. I cut my knuckle. Okay. I went to the bank and I forgot my ID and so I couldn't cash the check. That's a problem. I went back to my car and one of the tires was deflated. So that's a problem. I went to pick up my kid from school and my kid was crying and unhappy. That's a problem. I went home and my husband was mad at me because I didn't give him a back rub yesterday. That's a problem. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is go on that list and circle the 3 that you think about the most. Step 2, very simple. Now, step 3, pick one of those and see if you can figure out how to solve that problem. And this is the step that I usually get involved with the students. I come in and say, let me help you see if I can, be creative and come up with an idea to help you figure this out. Or, have I interviewed someone that I could introduce you to that has an idea? and we try to figure out how to solve the problem. So the student I was telling you earlier, they made a list, and on their list was self-development and my children, and they circled self-development and children. And so in step 3, we said, is there any way that we can involve children in self-development? Could we create a self-development package for children? Yes. Yes. Step 4, ask people if they would pay for that.
As like family and friends, or how would you?
Anybody. The teller, the bank teller, the bagger at the grocery store, the guy at the gas station pump next to you. Everybody. Ask 10 people during the day, and just see if people would pay for that.
What kind of skill do you recommend people to learn? Is there any formal education degree and skill? Like, what skills do you recommend to learn?
Learn how to be scrappy. Learn how to research Google better than anyone else. Learn how to get answers off of the internet better than anyone else. Learn what data is available better than anyone else. So if you can't get through to a customer service on your hosting platform, be the person who can figure out who owns the hosting company, even though it's hidden behind an LLC. Be that guy, the guy who can figure out really who does own the hosting company, who can break through the LLC privacy stuff and still figure out who owns it by going and getting their electricity bill or something. Be the person who never asks, how do you do that? But always says, oh, I know how I can figure out how to do that. That's the number one skill I need as an entrepreneur, the number one thing that I am impressed with. So back to when I was a professor, one of my exercises was, we actually did trips where we would go to foreign countries and study entrepreneurship there. One of my exercises was go to Tokyo and find an entrepreneur that lets you come and spend the entire day with them. Find that person. Now I want you to find 20 people in Tokyo who will answer a 10-minute exercise for you on entrepreneurship. Find 20 of those people. So what do they have to do? They have to get online from wherever they live, Atlanta or Athens or Seattle, and figure out how to find an entrepreneur in Japan, figure out how to communicate with them, and figure out how to get invited to come spend the day with them. That's learning how to be an entrepreneur right there. That's more useful than anything else. And the only one thing you do need to know, you need to learn how to read a financial statement. You need to learn how the financial stuff works, so you can read profit and loss statements and all that. That's it.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and never miss an episode of Svencast again.